are the odds that we may reach around $12 per XRP in the next 5-way structure as we enter the next market cycle? If history rhymes, as experienced and experts suggest, like last time, the 5-way structure here, we should be reaching around 10 to 12 US dollars in this 5-way structure as we enter the bull mode of an initial rally. Now, this 5-way structure of an initial rally while entering a bull market is just based on the history. But considering the macro fundamental situations, we should be able to see much higher growth in the number of investors coming in and the target price. For example, we can play this one.
Who makes $50 a week, they've completed their timesheet, they're getting a payout over a long weekend. Someone who's making $50 on the other side of the planet cannot wait 3 days to get paid. And when they do, if we're working with maybe one of your industry counterparts that's charging $2 to $5 per transaction, that's 5 to 10%. Would you like to pay 5 to 10% of your salary just to the bank that sends you the money? Of course not. Working with RippleNet, we get rid of that fee and we solve the problem of the long weekend because the XRP ledger never sleeps. And when I can shoot a payment through RippleNet Friday at 3 p.m. when all the banks are closed and they don't open again till Tuesday, that goes from fiat through XRP to fiat in his currency where he can buy groceries. And all that happens in seconds.
Now that is the sort of fundamentals we are talking about, right? It shows the faster payments with little or no cost. That's life-changing for majority of the people who are working in this manner. And that is the sort of fundamentals we are talking about here. And as we move into this tweet from Real XRP Boy, which is showing you that ILP, the Interledger protocol, is soon becoming the standard. It's written ILP is on its way to becoming the standard for ledger interoperability, and XRP is emerging as the must-have digital asset for institutional transactions. Remember that word, institutional transaction. That is the buzzword now. It's not just only about the retail investors, it's mainly about the institutions. Retail investors and retail transactions, the amount would be too small. Even if we are considering the low value payments, it's still too low for that low value payment, and the frequency for that would be low. Whereas if we consider the institutional transactions, even if the value is low, the frequency would be so high, and that gives them the ability to use this interoperability layer and shoot the payment as this guy just suggested. Now, as we move further, this gets more valid. Like, we can read through this one and we can actually understand when all of this is happening. Don't be a fool who jumps the ship when the asset is about to take off after the long accumulation process. Say, Tika Tiwari here highlights 35 to 50 million people own crypto. That's about 0.6% of world's population. Now, that's the entire crypto, not just XRP, right? Now, the US banking system alone accommodates around 300 million Americans. Now, if just them, considering just US guys, 1% of them comes into this one, it's gonna be huge, right? The market cap would be doubling. And when the investors are gonna come in and allocate their 1% or 10% depending upon their perspective, they would not be just putting it into every crypto. Instead, they would be looking at the fundamentals, analyze that, and then allocate that money. It won't be like dumping money into each and every crypto, right? They'll look either at top 5, top 10 cryptos, or just analyze the fundamentals in that top 5, top 10, just without dumping their money into it. So here, when we heard about a statement made by Brian Brooks last time, we also have to understand where he comes from, what is his role and his connections, and that's extending towards Steve Mnuchin. And now we just heard last time that from OCC we got that confirmation about the clarity for banks holding digital assets. Now it's kind of showcasing your direction to that side. Say Joseph Otting, he has connections through that too. If his name seems familiar, it may be because he was in headlines a while back as a shortlist candidate to be Deputy Treasury Secretary. So now he's at Coinbase, and understand they are trying to change the new structure. And when they try to change this new structure, they all have a different ledger. And that is the perspective where Chris states different ledgers can now communicate with ILP. That's becoming the standard. They are not saying that that will become a standard. Instead, they are saying ILP is on its way to becoming the standard, and XRP is emerging as a must-have. And that time, we can understand we are just 0.6% of the world as a crypto community. In this particular aspect, you can call us the early investors considering the total. Now, yes, depending upon the price, we may not be early, but looking at the fundamentals and the total population who are entering into this market, we are still way early. Now, looking at different fundamental sides, these are new partners, partnerships, and other areas which are kind of building the infrastructure itself for using XRP. Now, say for example, they are coming up with their own new system which use XRP. Okay, that's for cool, that's sure. And then when we come back to this one, they already have the native, they can use the native digital asset of XRP ledger, which is XRP, and they can automatically connect to ILP because it can be connected to any ledger. That allows them to get that expansion which was really hard previously to different regions, as we are directly heard. Like, it is the utility perspective what we are seeing there. Now, in this particular article, it actually shows a Ripple partner MoneyGram joins hand with Sri Lanka's MMBL money transfer platform. Again, we are extending one by one. Say one of a partner is expanding their geographical reach across the globe. Now, how are they doing that? So soon you can actually look at the Sri Lankan corridor, and if the XRP is going on there, then that's kind of a confirmation that these locations are going to pump soon. Like, new corridors will be available. If you go check Ripple website, you can still see just 5 active corridors. Now, we can actually look in a time frame next 6 to 7 months or 6 to 9 months, in which that can be doubling, like 10, or at least moving from that 5 towards 7 to 8 corridors. Now, this particular article shows Ripple is creating a global payment ecosystem and XRP might be in the middle. Now, why we say that? When we read this particular thing, we can understand that part of this also involves building the XRP ecosystem so that the asset will progress along with other important financial service products by the company. Now, the other products were previously like the XCurrent, XYR, XRapid, but now it is the on-demand liquidity and Ripple Net itself. So if the customers are getting into the on-demand liquidity, that means they have the ability to use XRP. So that's no question for that. Now, I would like to highlight what Grayscale is kind of highlighting recently. When Grayscale is showing XRP Trust in the ad, they kind of connect them in a recent tweet from them towards this previous old article, in which they highlight what Ripple is and how XRP is acting, what is its perspective, what are the target market and all, right? It is kind of a system of payment, blah blah blah, and it gives you all the estimates, and they're kind of looking at that it has the potential. Now, see, they are not XRP maximalist, they are mainly focusing on Bitcoin. They are mainly on Bitcoin, even though they say crypto, right? So the network has the potential to capture significant value from the global payment market worth an estimated 2 trillion USD. It was first conceptualized by Ryan Fugger in 2004. Okay, anyway, now keeping that in mind, the design of XRP is unlike many of its digital currency counterparts. Instead of supporting blockchain protocol, it uses XRP ledger to validate transaction. Now, that is the perspective which we saw from many different government and high-level corporate documents. They are saying non-blockchain ledger, which kind of supports everything which the blockchain can do, but even better. And that is the aspect where we are talking the fundamental is changing. Now, yes, at the same time, we are looking at different players coming in, trying to take a chunk of that payment market, right? When we look at the international payment all over the globe for this particular era of central bank digital currency, it's like $250 trillion. And $250 trillion is actually too big for one player to take in at a time. But I will say with this, even if Facebook is coming in, taking, with their different projects like WhatsApp Pay or, different projects from them, like previously they were actually using Calibra and all. Now they are kind of stating it to, I think, a new platform, say Novi or Novo. If that's the case, still they need to connect between different ledgers, and that becomes the case as here explained. ILP is becoming the standard for interledger interoperability. And at this time, when we look at the market cycle, the beginning of a market cycle, keep in mind, if that is happening and you are jumping the ship, you really want to read through this one from Torai Kortan. I'm not sure whether I pronounced it right. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, buddy. But anyway, I was humbled during the early phases of 2017 of what comes from continuously switching your crypto holdings between various alts in an attempt to flip to make more profit. And he lost a huge amount, right? Now that's in pound. Stick to a select few, accumulate when it is low and hold. That is pure common sense, right? Buy low and sell high, and that is how you are going to make profit. Now if we look at the chart and how we are using these lines to indicate what can be coming. Now these are the probabilities, right? So we can actually consider what happened previously, measure them, and try to illustrate what will be happening if the same is repeating again. So if we just consider the last market cycle, say just before the pump in 2017, say we measure the first wave of that one, say starting from the moving average zone to that first range, we can see somewhere around 60-70%. We can just zoom in and take it accurately. Okay, so we were actually moving around. Now if we look at that, we can see we went around 70%, right, at first, and then from there it retraced a bit and moved up to like 600-640%. And if you take the next top, from that top itself, you can actually measure that towards the high of this particular point, which is 533%. So for that, all of that happened in just like 60 days, in and around 60 days. If you look at that, we can understand it all happened within 60 days. Now, fast forward to where we are now and the patterns of price, we can see this one. Say we actually made a mark like this, 0, that's going towards the top. This is 1, 2, and 3. Now the markings are not precise based on the clarity. If I put it here, it would be, mixing up with other indicators. Okay, anyway, if we look at this, we can understand this. It started from here. From the moving average zone, it went to the upside and it broke the 2.5-year long resistance line. Now that is actually a valid point, and now it's still staying at the upside, making a bull flag. If it is pumping from here and reaching the top around $2, that's like around 600% growth, which is similar to what we have measured from 2017, and then a consolidation back and then a pump of 500%. That would be taking us to around $12. Now, these lines say this particular one is considering that when we enter into a market, a bull market, usually it goes parabolic. So if we assume that it's going to go parabolic, it should be having a support like this. So that's kind of looking at the worst case. If it goes to $2 first, where could it be potentially be retracing? It may actually retrace around 0.7, and that kind of makes this resistance act as a support by that time. So that area looks valid. Now this particular green line here, which I have highlighted there, I'll make that a bit thicker. And now look, it was acting as a support from a long term. It's acting like a rounded bottom, but at this particular area we are seeing a move to the upside, which gives us an indication that it may go parabolic. Why? Because we crossed above the 2.5-year long resistance line. If we plot that correctly in different aspects as well, we may reach at the same conclusion that we broke above that particular resistance line. So now what? Is it only $10 to $12 we are looking at? This is just the 5-wave pattern which we are analyzing. So if you want to look at that one from the last cycle, you can understand that's also the same 5-wave structure which we are talking about. Say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But that all happened in just 60 days. But here, when we plotted it like this on a rough scale, it is pointing to a different time frame, which is showing you February 21. Now that's just being conservative, looking at the patterns and the time taken for that, considering there is institutional traders here who will make it a bit difficult for the retail market guys to take out that profit. So there will be huge fluctuation and the volatility which we can see here. Now, if we assume that we may correct from here, like what happened last time, from the top of that side 5-way market, we actually went down 67%. And after that 67% of correction, we went to the upside like 2007, 70%. So if we assume that we are going to correct from that $12 mark to 67%, we may reach around $4 mark. Now, keep that in mind. If we are going even to that 12 point, we are going to come back much harder, like towards the $4 mark, which would be the previous support, just about the previous resistance here, which was the all-time high, which could be acting as a potential support, because previously that was the high. So this should be the resistance as we move upside, as we can see somewhere near this 3-point mark. And when we come back down, that would be the area. Now, if we measure that 2700% mark, from there we may actually reach around $118, which is kind of a short-term target of this market cycle, just based on the technicals. Now, if history is to just rhyme without, the fundamentals are growing only in the similar manner, it's not having that parabolic fundamental growth, then we can actually look at this one. But as of now, what we are seeing in the fundamental side of this asset and the investing class is like institutions are entering this market, general crypto market, and then the fundamental of this particular asset is increasing in a way that no investor who is coming with a smart money would be neglecting this particular thing. As we see the partnerships expanding, partners of Ripple are partnering with other institutions, they are expanding, and now even if they are not directly having a connection with Ripple, the company, and XRP ledger, they are having it through a different one. Now, it is going to become a standard of interoperability, as they all have to adopt the ISO 20022. For them, it would be easy to get on ILP, and that's why it is showing ILP is on its way to becoming the standard. Why? Because the interoperability layer of ISO is to be executed, and based on DLT, Ripple, the company, is the first company showing that DLT and ISO together, right? So it is an opportunity for institutions to save their money like this, just wasting 2 to 5% of your salary just to send that money to a bank. That is too much of a cost, right? So they are going to cut this cost and provide customers the better experience and make profit and gain more customers. That's all for this episode, guys. If you saw value in the content, do support the channel, hit that like button. I'll be back with another video soon. I'm doing my research and reading through a document. Once I get through all of the important points of that document along with other fundamentals which can support that particular data, I'm gonna come back soon. So I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.